Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is a special meeting of the Operations Committee. Today is June 3rd, 2026. It is 7:34. We do have a quorum of the committee. I'm Jennifer Perez. We have Maritza Estromero Jimenez and Joanne Birch Jennings here. We also have board members Joseph Sakalovic and Albert Benengarales. That's it for board members, I believe. I'm sure more will join later. So we'll get started with approval of the meeting minutes from May 6th, 2026. We have a motion.
Motion to approve
Okay.
meeting minutes from March. I gotta pull up the agenda, I'm sorry.
March 6th.
March 6th, 2026.
May 6th, I'm sorry.
May 6th. Sorry, motion to approve meeting minutes from May 6th, 2026.
I'll second that. Any discussion on it? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I saw your mouth move, Joanne. So but you're on mute, but I believe you said aye. Alrighty. I just want to acknowledge Mr. Traver has also joined the call. So we'll move on to the first item on the agenda, the discussion and possible referral to the full board of the following solar contracts for Central High School, Luis Munoz Marin School, and Curiel School. So I believe Mr. Garcia, you're on.
So I want to just start by saying thank you to Mike Zirkle for his hard work and diligence in putting these programs together. He's been doing a tremendous job with the sustainability of the district and making sure that we're, making sure that we're conserving energy in every twist and turn. So I'm going to turn it over to him to walk through these solar projects.
I'm live, yes. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Yes, we're here for the discussion and possible referral to the full board for the solar contracts at Central, Marin, and Curiel. At Curiel and Marin, all panels will be on the roof. At Central, most panels will be on the roof, and we're also going to create a carport in the parking lot from near the gym out to North Avenue. So we'll cover one parking space and the sidewalk and a little bit onto the grass to cover that. I think that'll be great for inclement weather and snow and rain that the students that do walk that way, it's about 400 feet, will be covered.
Sorry, Mr.
Not fully sheltered, but covered.
One second. Mr. Nipple, can you mute your mic?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Nipple.
And all three projects will save us significant money on our electric bill. The estimate for the first year of savings is about $140,000 total for the three projects.
Committee members, do you have any questions? Marissa, you can go ahead.
I do, and I have to say, this project makes me very happy to obviously be using renewable energy to help reduce our bills. I do have a number of questions, some of which you actually just answered about expected savings. So we're expected to save about $140,000 a year. How much are those savings inclusive of the cost of the solar? So are those savings after the money that we put in to pay for the solar panels?
We are not, we do not own them. It's a purchase power agreement. Third-party company owns the panels, maintains them, installs them, and does everything. We do have to purchase the electricity that the panels produce, but we will be buying it at a greatly reduced rate than we would pay directly to the utility company.
Yep. Excellent.
So there's no capital out of pocket for the Board of Ed.
Okay, excellent. So my other questions are in regards, I'm keeping Tisdale in the back of my mind. So, like, if the panels need to be maintained, repaired, who's responsible for doing that? And so, side question, can they make us a priority? Because I really didn't like that at Tisdale we had to wait a few weeks to get someone in while, the roof was leaking. So can we add that as part of the contract? We need to be made priority.
Yes, um, the attorneys have reviewed all the contracts. I will speak with them and, make that clear that we want to be a priority so that we don't have a situation like that.
And if I can, briefly on that, on Tisdale. So Tisdale, Tesla took over. So there was that delta of time of them sort of getting their bearings. So that was sort of that issue that we had with responsiveness.
Gotcha.
So, whenever it's whenever someone else purchases, we go through that heartache of reestablishing those relationships and everything. But this program is being done through Green Bank, and we've got a tremendous relationship with them.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. I won't say it's my last question. Who will be maintaining these? Will the city be responsible for maintaining, or is this third party person going to be doing it?
The third party is responsible for everything.
Okay.
We don't have the staff, honestly, or the technical skill sets, to maintain, install, and service everything. And with this being a PPA, if the panels don't make electricity, they don't make any money. They don't get any money. So they have skin in the game that, everything needs to be working properly.
Will the city have access? So I just got solar installed in my own house, and I have like an application on my phone just to keep track that the panels are working. Will we have access to make sure that the panels are working as well?
Yes, that's part of the program.
Okay. And then my last item, in regards to these PPAs is about the warranty. I know the contract is about 20 years. Is the warranty for these panels, should something happen, be for that duration as well?
Yes, the vendor is responsible for the 20 years. When the 20 years are up, there's a few options that the Board of Ed could choose to buy the system and own it outright, or to just basically abandon or have the system removed. And after 20 years, the general rule of thumb is, the panels have probably, they don't have much life left in them.
Right. They've reached the end of life. Okay, I said last question, but this one is really my last question. I'm sorry. Is the thought process so these are Central Marin, Curiel, is the thought process to do this with other schools as well and try to shed as much, you know, reduce the utility bills as much as possible?
Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest challenge is the age of our roofs. Since this is a 20-year commitment, the roofs have to be with only a few years old when we install the solar. So Marin is a couple of years old, Central's a few years old. Curiel was just done last summer, I think. And in the future coming up, we have the Board of Ed's Nutrition Center will be getting a roof, and I believe Reed School, probably next summer. So we probably have to start the process over to, get vendors for installing solar at those locations.
And to that point also, we are also looking at the potential of carports at JFK, carports at Johnson. So, we're really leaving no leaf unturned. Mike has done a tremendous job of analyzing every inch of the district. We already have designs for both Johnson and JFK. It's just a matter of working through the details. Banking these together, it makes a lot of sense for us. And then, as we build out the solar, we want to have an enhancement where, for instance, Central, you have the covered walkway, you have the carports, so we're working in a way where we're building an ecosystem, not just to sustainability, but also for the participants in the district.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think it makes sense considering one of our top three most expensive line items on our budget is utilities. So I think it's a win-win. Thank you so much for your time. I'm all set.
Mr. Nipwell?
Yes, Mike, the other question I have, the 20-year lease, what is the percentage annual cost of living increase that is factored, if any, or is it locked?
Our rate is locked for the 20 years.
Beautiful. The reason why, what I'm trying to point out here, he's saving, okay, we're gonna save $140,000 a year, that's the very first year. Every one of us knows that UI keeps increasing their rate. By 20 years, their rate could have gone up 50%. So compoundedly, we will be saving way more than, 50% more than 140 down the road. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So it's a win-win situation for the future because we have a locked rate. I do have on a personal note, I do have a solar panel on my roof, and I'm locked in for the 20 years. They're responsible for any failures and any maintenance. Again, at the end of 20 years, they will either yank it out or replace it with a new one. If I choose to, which will be much more efficient by then anyway. So.
Yes.
Ms. Berkshire, did you have a question or? Okay, Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions and some concerns. Yeah, first of all, why is this contract structured in this manner rather than just like I know some solar companies, they just charge we get the whole credit and we buy from them at a discount or something like that. There's another way to structure the contract that other people use. Can you tell me about that?
Not positive of what you mean because, they, we are buying the electricity from the solar company.
It looks like we're splitting the credit with them that we get from having solar. The way it's structured.
Well, they receive the tax credits.
Correct. And there's a split.
Yeah. Teresa says there's an
There's
echo on the
actually three
stream.
different splits and three different rates.
We'll have to figure that out. I don't want to switch.
75%.
I don't want to
And
switch.
Miranda gets 71% and Central gets 78%. So we got three different tiers of
No, it's just the
shares of
stream
the
itself
credit or
is
whatever
the echo.
funds
It's not.
are.
You don't hear it on Teams.
So
hear it
I'm
echo
just
on
wondering why.
YouTube.
That's based
It's,
on
it's,
on
I
the
think it's the
systems.
real type. I think it's the
The,
real type.
purely roof-mounted systems are much easier. The carport system, they need to do more structural analysis and, build the cantilevers or trusses or, the things that are gonna hold the panels. And it also depends at each site where UI's transformers are, that their wires ultimately feed into the transformer. And, what it's gonna take to run the conduits and run the wires from the roof of our building or from the parking lot of the building to get to the transformers. At Central, they are tying in at two different transformers. At Curial, it's one. At Marin, it's one.
Right, and yeah, I'm definitely concerned about the shares because it seems our largest producer, which has the most potential for revenue, we're getting the smallest share out of all the three schools. I mean, we're getting 21% of those savings, and they're getting 78, as opposed to us getting 28 at Marin, which is a much smaller wattage output. Is there
And
any
that's
way we
based
could
on-
shift
sorry.
those at least a 1 or 2% towards our favor?
So that's based on the cost of them putting the system in. So that's what those credits are used for. And like to Mike's point, the Central is a little more complex. So that's why the percentage points are where they are. But once again, no CapEx out of pocket. day one savings, but there's only so much wiggle room when it comes to that because it's all based on the system, and there's a host of metrics for the grants and everything that they've got to present to the federal and local governments.
Okay, next question, canopy. Do we have to remove any trees to get this environmental savings?
No.
No, there's no trees anywhere near there.
Okay, I don't got the whole topography, so I gotta
Yep.
ask.
No,
What
I
else?
thought about that also, Joe.
I know you guys, I gotta ask. That's what I'm here for. What else? Transferability, we mentioned the transferability of the contract, and Ms. Esther Merriman has brought up the point of the waiting. It seems like they got unilateral rights to transfer this contract to whoever need be. However, we're locked in. We're locked in no matter what. What happens if we need to sell a building or get rid of excess of building within the 20-year time frame? I see this. I can't bring it up right now. My phone's acting up. Some sort of penalty where we gotta pay off if we're in default or something like that. I can't.
I believe there is, but these 3 buildings in particular, we've just recently put roofs on. I don't think, I don't foresee in the future the Board of Ed wanting or needing to get rid of any of these 3 buildings. They're all newer buildings in, our inventory. And if if the Board of Ed were to vacate them and they became basically property or used by the city, I think it would just transfer in that way, since the city and Board of Ed.
Right, but it doesn't appear that we have an absolute right to do that. Like when I sell my house, if I put an improvement on my house, if I enter a long-term contract, maintenance contract, I can make that part of the mortgage for the most part, as part of the sale agreement, that they take over certain warranties of my household, and I don't think we have that protection in that contract for that to be for it to be transferable, the benefits that we receive. Because I'm not just thinking of school closures. I'm thinking of what about an accident, a fire? God forbid a school goes on fire and that school got to come offline. Who's responsible for the rest of that contract?
Yes, honestly, I did not get into all of that. The contract is about 50 pages. I know the attorneys have reviewed it all, and I'm not an attorney. I can try to dig into that and, give you my opinion, but we can certainly look into that further.
Right, yeah, just the transferability and the protection, because even if it goes to the city, because it is a city building, they may want that transferability if, God forbid, something happens and they make it into an apartment building. They may want to be able to capture those benefits. I don't see why we wouldn't have the same assignability as the vendor would be able to give. What I think I had something else. I can't recall what it is right now. I think that's all I got for now. Thank you.
Ms. Esther Merriman.
I was just gonna chime in and say that usually with most PPAs, there's a transferability clause so that if, for example, in my example, I put in solar panels on my house, I sell my house tomorrow, the new owner's responsible for the solar panels, including the payment. So we should certainly make sure that's in the contract as well.
Mrs. Powder, and Mr. Benningham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question, Mr. Garcia. I'm going back with Mr. Sokolow. Say if that contract, something's wrong with the building, because I know the building belongs to the city. So the something wrong, like Mr. Sokolow say, the city responsible or us, the Board of Education? Well, or is it responsible?
As part of the contract, the provider is responsible for everything. So if we get a roof leak based on the unit, they've got to fix it. If there's an issue, they've got to fix it. There's plenty of protections in the contract. These contracts are very standard also. So, this is our standard contract that we pretty much use throughout my career. in solar, with some enhancements. I think they've added some additional protections for us within this contract. But yes, they would be responsible for everything.
All right, I want to be sure, Mr. Garcia, because I know I know you do the job amazing in your team, but we don't want surprise from the city. You know how everything go. All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Seeing no further questions, is there a motion on this item?
Yes. Just trying to go back to the agenda. Sorry, guys. Okay. Motion to refer to the full board of the following solar contracts: Central High School, Luis Munoz Marin School, and Carriel School.
Second, I'll second that. No further debate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll move on to review and possible referral to the full board of the updated ed specification of the specialized school. Is that both you and Mike again?
Nope,
George?
that'll be me.
Okay, George.
With
Thank you,
the
Mike.
support. I don't see PJ in March, but
PJ's
so-
on.
okay, great. Oh, I don't see the second page. All right. So
And Mark
ed
is here.
spec, the state had requested that we update the ed spec some. Obviously, this is a unique school that we're building out here. So the state wanted a little more detail. They wanted to understand some of the spaces that we anticipated in constructing in this program, along with some of what the programming will look like. I think we all understand that this will be dynamic as we start to build it out, because it is one of a kind and very unique in an urban school district. But the state wanted a little more detail. They want to have a little better understanding of what our intent was. So what we've done is we've created a space plan along with spelling out some of the programming within the facility.
Do we have any questions? Committee members?
I have some questions. So I was a little bit surprised that the school is for 251 students, and I know this is mostly for those out of district students getting serviced to bring them back into the district and save money that way. But is the thought process, well, I guess my first question is, do we have 250 students out of district, or is the intent to also some of those students that are in our current schools right now under the SPED program to have them go to this school as well?
Madam Chair, I can address that question. It's a combination. It's a combination. We have more than 200 we have about 270 some odd kids that are out in district placements, but we also have kids in district that would benefit from a program environment that we're going to be developing within that school setting. It has to be a very modest transition, so we won't automatically fill that school with that many kids, because it's going to be more of a therapeutic setting. So we have to kind of develop that based on the needs of the children that we service across the district. We have kids at BLC that could benefit from that school. We're looking at combining some of those therapeutic services that we currently provide in the district, but expanding upon those things. There's all kinds of new innovative programs and therapeutic ideas that we're going to be developing as we go through the whole process as well. And so it's a combination to be able to provide those services for the children. And there's all kinds of unique opportunities and programs out there now, and that's what we're doing. We'll be researching that. We'll be going site visits to some of those, and we feel that I think we want to bring some of the board members to some of the things as we start developing programs to see some of those things. There's a lot of local area schools in districts that are using programmatic and therapeutic methods of supporting their children across different disabilities, and that we're looking at recreating in our own space. So it's so unique and so individualized, that it's going to be state of the art. And we really want to take our time and do it the right way as we open up the center. So that was a great question.
And if I got to add briefly to that, the way that we're formatting some of the spaces, that we understand that in the future, if this program really does well, that the potential of bringing on additional students from both the district and out of the district, we'll build this in a way where we can add a wing to it, right? And some of the spaces we're going to build up so we have additional capacity. So a regular size gym, a regular size cafeteria, which is in the space program currently, so we're thinking of the future also.
Excellent. And that's kind of, you first saw where I was going, where it was kind of like, more and more every year we start seeing our sped numbers going
Grow.
up slightly. So we need to be prepared. Um, should we need additional space in the school to, provide our students the resources required. Um, okay, I'm just checking my notes here. I think, okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I add a little bit more to Marissa's question?
Yeah.
The other idea is to be able to, recruit other students from other districts that may want to pay for those services as well, right? So you're spot on, and I think that's the beauty of this unique opportunity for this district, is to be able to do that. And that's really, if we do it well and we build it well, they will come. And I think that's really the emphasis of making sure that we do special education well in this district. And that's why you see that our program stuff is changing. It's going to change on a yearly basis because the needs of children is changing, and the opportunities to do education differently for this group of children is different. And so we got to grab those opportunities and work through them. And so I'm very, very excited about this, because this is a very, very unique opportunity. And the largest district in Connecticut doing some really innovative work in this area is meaningful. So I'm excited. So I'm glad you guys are asking the question that you're asking. So wonderful. Thank you.
I was just gonna mention really quickly, was I really like that we're thinking in that manner, because ultimately we need to ensure as a district that we're sustainable, and kind of with the pre-K mindset where we have these programs at our school that bring us revenue, we should attempt to do that in each of our schools if possible. Thank you.
Mrs. Collins or Ms. Brooks Jenny, did you have any questions? Okay, Mr. Sakalik.
Yeah, a couple of questions, not too many on this one. Yeah, it says in the document, you need a space waiver from the state.
Yes, because based on the programming. So, because of the nature of the facility, it's not a typical facility where the square footages are uniform for regular session school.
And we don't anticipate any issues with that.
No, the state, the beauty of it all is that we're working closely with the state, just for them to get back to us to want to enhance this is just a testament to the work that's being done to ensure that this is going to be a success for Bridgeport.
Right, and the warming space that needed to be determined, has that been figured?
The warming space?
Yeah, warming kitchen, for the food, for nutrition.
Yeah, so we have full functioning kitchen. We also understand that there's specific needs. So all of that'll be addressed, similar to what we've done over at the winter skiing program, for children that need food to be blended. Any nutritional needs can be addressed in that building across the whole entire gamut.
And final question, we didn't revise the student population downward, did we? It's the same.
I believe so, but new projections are being created, so we're making sure that everything is what it is. But we're confident in all of our numbers and our details and our budget. I feel really good about this and super excited on what we're going to deliver to everyone.
Right, a suggestion if the state comes at us to revise numbers upward. Thank
More
you.
is always better, Joe. You know, I love more.
Mr. Medina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. God bless you, everyone. I just was wondering, and I know I'm a little bit behind and looking at some of this stuff because some of it was placed a few hours ago. But I just wanted to ask, are we going to get a new rendition? I know when this was presented before us, we were given like a picture of the size of a building, and then it was said that it was going to be smaller. What are we looking at here as far as these numbers? Is this a 2-story building? Is this a 3-story building? What are we going to get a new rendition of this as far as the building layout and stuff?
Yes, you will. So once we get through this first hurdle of sort of having the discussions on spaces and programming, the next thing will be that we'll get into schematic design. Once we hire our architect and get into schematic design, we'll get you guys the first rendition of the layout. The original rendition, if you remember, was just a box that showed you how it would fit and that we had enough space. So in order to present an application to the state, we have to prove that we can fit at scale the square footage that we're requesting, which we were able to do with that rendition. But, you know, because now that we have definitive spaces with square footages and programming, that schematic design will give you guys not only the shell of the building, but the interior. So you'll be able to see what classroom spaces, where they'll fall, and how that all will play together.
Thank you. That was my concern right off the bat, because again, I can't put this into a building format because that schematic that you shared with us, you know, it had one section and then another section. So you were, according to when I asked the question specifically, it was said that's the possibility that we can actually make it bigger or it could be expanded. And I want to make sure, what is this rendition that we have before us as far as number of classrooms? Because again, we're looking at here, like for example, in the orange academic programs, intensive program, intensive classrooms, 1 through 8. I believe that's the grades. We have three staff capacity in each classroom, I guess. 8 students per classroom, 800 square feet per each classroom. So I want to make sure that this schematic reflects either what we were shown or what we will be shown in the future, because it's always been a concern when it talks about buildings, because we need to make sure that we fit and we fit our kids there. And if we can't fit more kids, then we should try to look at, you know, making sure that we get the biggest bang for our bucks and making the building bigger. That way we can service our kids. Because any day we can get another 20 or another 30 kids at any given day, because this is the way special ed is, you know, it works in a sense. But thank you. I'll see my next rest of questions for the board meeting. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Mr. Traver?
Yeah, so what numbers are we talking about now?
Numbers in terms of population, square footage,
Population.
251.
And where how does that, where are we drawing those numbers from?
Based on the square footage and budget. So,
No.
you know, legislation gave us X dollars. So we're building it based on that at a 46, I believe, 45, 46, 47,000 square foot, at 75,000 square foot gross. So, you know, what we've done now is we've taken those numbers and started to put the programming in to make sure that within that structure of square footage that we're working towards, we can fit it all. The good news is that right now, the program is robust. We have the spaces that the academic folks need. You know, this was reviewed and we spent a lot of hours on this over the last 3-4 weeks. But you know, we fit it all in right now, and the budget is where it needs to be. So we're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, George, more than what I'm asking is, where are we thinking these students are coming from in terms of where are we pulling them in from? And that's why I said this is probably more of a Dr. Avery question than a you question. You mentioned BLC, you mentioned, you know, bringing some in from out of district. where do we think we're drawing these students in from? Are we moving Skane back over there? Right. So
Madam
what are you thinking?
Yeah, Madam Chair, it's a combination of all of those, Mr. Traber. Remember the thought process is, as we build it, we will look at areas that we can, bring kids. We have some kids that are in out of district placement that, that we're paying people right in our facility to service these children. So we can do that, because at the time these kids were outplaced, we didn't have the services in the district. So those low-hanging, opportunities to bring those kids back in would be very easy to do because we'll have these robust programs in-house already. So when you start looking at who we can bring back, that's what we're going to start looking at: the disabilities, the support that they're getting in those out district placements. If we have those support, and that's one of the things that we're going to be doing, is looking at all of the out of district placement students currently out there right now. What are their disabilities and what services are being provided in those out district placements? As we build those services in-house, then we can start gradually bringing those kids in. And we can't just do all of them at one time. It's going to be a PPT decision based on, we can do these things in-house now, and so we need you to come back into the district and work from this. So, and we have current students that are potentially out district placed. Instead of doing that now, we'll have those robust programs in district to do. So I think overall, we got, 100+ students that we're going to consider, but then we look at those other 50, 60, number of kids that we can either solicit from other districts to come in gradually as well. But we want to service our kids first. And I think we have enough to be able to provide that. But remember, this is only going to be a pre-K through 8 school. Some of the kids that are out district placed right now are your high school kids, or your 7th and 8th graders that are going to be in high school. So we're going to have to keep rooms for those out of district placement because we don't have those placements in districts. So again, it's a combination, and we got to be very thoughtful as to who and what and when to bring those kids in. But I think we have enough, at least 200+ to be able to do that with.
200+ currently out of district that we could aim to bring back into district.
That is correct. Yes, sir. But that's going to be a few years before we draw on them. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. And how many at BLC? Right now, I think there's a total of about 50 kids on the books and about 20 to 30 kids that come on a daily basis.
Madam Chair, if I could jump in for a minute on that. So a couple things that we looked at, George, myself, Dr. Avery, and the group that worked with MP Planning, who actually was working on our ed specs and the projections. We originally talked about a regional facility. And when we looked at what we would have to do for a special ed regional facility, we were told that we probably should start off with, our own students at first. And then, as we said, build into having that regionalized facility, knowing that at any point in time, we can work with George, and we do have space and room to be able to add on if necessary. But right now, those numbers came from projections. They came from our PSIS information that we have based on students in district and out of district, plus their disabilities. So their disabilities are going to be factored into some of those children that we're going to be looking to bring back, some of the medically fragile, and some of those children who there's no way in the world we're going to be able to bring back in service. They weren't brought into the mix as far as the projections go. But everything that we did was based off of what we were projected, and then George and I went back and with the company, and we wanted to mandate and make sure that we had the square footage of each classroom, what kind of classrooms we would need, and what that would look like in this unique setting as a special ed school.
I do understand that, and I understand we have a 3 to 4 year leeway, lead time. And so I'm just trying to get a sense of the point that I believe Mr. Sakalovic was referring to earlier, and one that you've made many times over the years, PJ, which was, making sure that we build the school big enough. And I did hear George's comment earlier that we'll have space that we could theoretically expand if we had the opportunity and the need. So we're in position to do that. The heartache we've had over the years of being forced or compelled by state regs and process to build too small. But I just wanted to get some numerical idea of the situation that we'll be in. And this gives me a better idea of, where we're at numbers wise. And we have this lead time, to sort of plan it out. It's not like it's going to open and we got to sort of fill it up quick. So it's all there. I see it. I just wanted to see the numbers a little more clearly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Medina, do you still have a question? Your hand is still up.
Actually, I do. I was putting up, but I needed a couple seconds because I think, if I'm right, gentlemen, when I'm looking at these numbers, I thought it was adding it at the bottom. Each section has a square footage individually. It's not grouped together, correct?
Yes. The total square
Okay.
footage of
I'm
the
just doing my
facility.
math.
Okay.
Yeah, I was adding it and I messed up. I thought it was a total here and a total there, but it wasn't. So now I can see it. So I'm doing my math now. So
Is there a
thank you. I
motion?
just thought it was off when I added it. Madam Chair, I'm sorry, if I may. The total program area is showing me at the bottom, so I'm gonna go talk about the last section, the black box. It says 46,688. And then the estimate gross square footage is showing me 75,500. Can you explain those two numbers?
Yep. So your gross square footage is everything. Your walls, your mechanicals, your plumbing, everything. And your roof, your envelope of the building, and your 45,000, that is your program space. Those are your classrooms, your lunchroom, cafeteria, things of that nature.
Okay, I think you started saying something that it just threw me off. Square footage, it has to do with usable space, meaning what you step on, not the walls. So I think I want to ask you that question again. Total program area is $45, 46,688. Then you're saying the estimated gross square footage, 75,500. It's what again?
That 75,000 is your gross. That is everything in the building. So your mechanical rooms, your back of the house stuff, your walls, your depth of walls, your roof. That's everything. So there has to be a calculation for everything that we're building, because remember, we're touching bricks and we're putting those together. They have to be in the equation.
I'm gonna check that. Thank you very much.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to refer to the full board the updated ed specification of the specialized school.
I'll second it. Any further debate? See none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to discussion and possible referral to the full board of the membership with Council of Great City Schools. This has been brought before us, I believe, back in it was either September or October. We didn't really do much with it. So I just wanted to bring this back to our attention. I know Dr. Avery will speak a little bit to it, but the invoice has been included in your packet for what membership would look like for next year. And then in the packet also shows what the Council of Great City Schools can provide for the district, for the board and for the district. So not only would it be would it serve us in terms of helping our own development as a board, but it does help in terms of developing administrative staff. There's workshops that, you know, people on the executive cabinet can go to, or administrators and different departments can attend, and it comes from an urban perspective. So there's a lot of other cities out there who are using this this platform or this organization. It's similar to what we use with CAVE. CAVE is Connecticut focused, but this is kind of a national platform, and there's a lot of districts like ours out there who really benefit from it. I'll let Dr. Avery speak to it a little more. I know that personally, I know of other board members throughout the country who have highly recommended it for us, and I know we used it in the past as well. So Dr. Avery can speak to it.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I've never been a part of the Great City Schools, but I've been around other superintendents that have been part of the Great City Schools. And I think it's, you know, as I've been in the district almost 2.5 years, 3 years now, and the unique opportunities that they provide urban school districts is so unique and so robust that, you know, I think it will do our district so much better when it comes to professional development, you know, talking to other districts that are dealing with HR issues or finance issues or maintenance issues like we are. And to have that, we have no resources in Connecticut that will give us that flexibility and that magnitude of support that is needed. And I know the district may have used and been part of the organization in the past, but I think, you know, under my leadership and hopefully under your leadership, we could really have a robust opportunity to advance the opportunities within our district to showcase and do things a little different than we have in the past. And so I'm recommending and encouraging the board to consider it. At least I know the price tag is there, but I think you can shift some of the dollars that you're giving CAVE that can also be moved to supporting this organization. And then you could do a limited, engagement with CAVE if you need to. I do know that on the federal level, Great City Schools also advocates for dollars for large urban school districts that over the years have gained a lot of dollars to not only Bridgeport, but other large urban school districts. So again, I would encourage the boards to consider. I think it'd be a great, and I tell you, we will maximize those services. And what they do for us is give us a monthly usage of what we're using and who's attending meetings and all of that. And I can tell you, I can require all my divisions in the school district to be a part of it and participate. And so that you can see the participation from the board perspective. And I know we had looked at the board doing some training with them at one point in time as well. But I think the cost was high because we were still kind of groggling about the membership. But if you're a member, you get such a great discount on those types of services. So again, I think it'll help the board, help us as administrators in the large school, urban school district perspective. So again, I encourage you guys to consider it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any questions? Is it committee members first? I don't see any.
I
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I had a quick question. So the thought process is have them basically pay for themselves using kind of grants that they would be getting for us on the federal level, or it almost sounded like reducing the other option was reducing our membership with CAVE in order to be able to afford to pay for this one. Is that an accurate assessment?
A combination of that, that's correct. So we would have to kind of, decide on which options that we can keep with CAVE and which options we can move, to this organization, to do a combination. Because I mean, CAVE does a lot for us from a local perspective,
Right.
but CAVE doesn't cater to the large urban school district perspective, like we need, so when you look at some of the policies and things that we get, it's really not as robust as we could get, in under the direction of the great city schools, because they focus on large urban school districts, and the models and programs that these large school districts are using will be beneficial to us as well. Now, they do advocate for funding for large urban school districts, so that's where that funding piece comes in, not necessarily grants, whatever, but we will get grant opportunities because our grants department can also, leverage what they have in their grants department to get additional dollars, focusing in on how to serve students in large urban school districts. So it's a win-win that way too, as well, Ms. Menace.
Thank you.
Mr. Sokolovic.
Yeah, here's the thing. I love Great City Schools, and however, yeah, they're for big urban districts, and I'm not knocking them. Definitely not knocking them. However, the only reason we qualify as a big city school that's qualified for entrance into it is because we are the largest city in Connecticut. However, we will be the smallest district in Great City Schools, and we'll be sitting with people, like hundreds of thousands of students. And we're minuscule to them. So their policies don't necessarily fit us 100%, nor does CABE, because the majority of CABE is small towns and on the other side. So I do believe we need a hybrid of both. And what Dr. Avery says is correct. It has been very useful for staff in the past. I've utilized it a lot, especially around the equity work, because the bigger cities, they're not afraid to name race. They're not afraid to name things for what it is, because that's their lived reality for most of the people in that group. Whereas in CABE, sometimes we get a little tiptoeing around the issue, and we're not naming it as well. And they got 169 districts, which probably 120 so out of probably like 90% Caucasian. So it's a very delicate thing for them to service all their clients. That being said, I do like the idea of using CAVE on a menu basis, because we actually got some duplication of services as well as with like policy development and some trainings that our law firm will provide for us for free as well. And we could always use use a menu service for board, because I'm sure we'll still want to attend convention and all of that to stay in touch, and maybe some of the webinars or seminars that we could pay as you go basis. So I'm basically in favor of it, but I still haven't seen the price tag yet, and that's the next step. Thank you.
There's an invoice in our portal.
Okay, yeah, I haven't had a real chance to look. Thank you.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Ms. Paris. Dr. Avery, and sound good, the information you give it to us. I would like to get more information, but question, what is the difference between this program and having not getting CAPE in full? Because we got a contract, whatever we have over CAPE. That's going to be a little difficult. It's going to be a conflict, because we're going to have another program, and then with the CAPE, I don't want to get conflict. Or CAPE say, guys, you have this situation now, you can deal with us because you have a contract. Anything can happen. So. And the cost is the most important thing. So I'd like to know a little more details.
Yeah, all those details are in the portal. You have that information in the portal for you. It breaks down all the programs. It breaks down the costs. All of that's there. And again, it's a matter of trying to figure out. We gotta make sure that we stay local, and we gotta make sure we stay in connection with that. So we'll definitely be able to do that. But it just reduces the cost that we paid for CABE. Like Mr. Sokolovic talked about the policy piece. Shipman and Goodman does policy across the state, and so there are attorneys now. We can get policies from them. We can get student handbooks. We can get all those different types of things from them at a very minimal cost, because there are attorneys. We pay for that as a service through CAVE. So that's what I'm talking about, shifting some of those dollars and then be able to put some additional dollars in there to meet the cost amount. And again, but I think the training that we are going to get will help us do a better job to be better performers in urban school work if we do utilize Great City Schools.
Sound good. Anything is good, positive for our district and training for us or not, whoever's coming after us, whatever, it will be good so we can be ready. I appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Avery. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Medina?
And there he goes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Are we actively? Because I thought we were already members actively. And I've been getting emails from them regularly, and I've been waiting for some time now, a few months, because I asked to get clarification. That way I know whether I could participate or not, because I didn't want to cause anybody any headaches or anything like that. So correct me if I'm wrong. Are we still actively a member of them?
We haven't paid our dues.
We haven't paid our dues, but they're allowing us to keep connected with everything. I still get those emails too, Mr. Medina. But I talked to the president of Great City Schools, and they just really wanted to support the district. And so they've allowed us to kind of keep connected with what's going on, because hopefully eventually that we were going to take care of. And I told him that we were financial strap, and but he said, we'll just kind of let you kind of keep going, and hopeful that we will be able to say, okay, we're ready now to re-engage. And so this is what this conversation is about tonight.
Has anyone communicated with them on the subject that you guys were just talking about? And I just want to be very specific and lined up, that once we are a member of them, that maybe it does, my question is, maybe it does open us to be able to apply to certain grants specifically because we are a member. Did anybody ask specifically those questions from them or had that discussion with them?
Madam Chair, yes, when I spoke with the president last year, we had that same conversation, Mr. Medina. And because you are a member, you have access to specific grant services and programs. And that's one of the unique opportunities that we could tap into to be able to do that as well. So yes, sir.
That will offset the cost. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Traber? You're on mute.
Is the president, the director, the same person that came and ran the questionably legal retreat that we had?
Absolutely not.
It's the person who came to our meeting in October or September, who presented to us.
Okay. I have a couple of concerns beyond. We have the cost factor. I mean, it seems to me we're putting the cart before the horse here. And we have an item on this agenda, which is called our budget. And we need to settle our budget. And so notwithstanding what the cost of this is, let's figure out the budget and then look at what else we want to spend money on. I have concerns about this organization beyond the budget, but we have been members of this organization for many years, and I don't have any huge problems with continuing that relationship. But when we were compelled through that retreat to look into the budget, look into the organization, there were questions raised about that organization's associations with the charter school movement. So, I would like to not have to make this decision now. I'd like to make this decision after we get our budget taken care of, and then sit down and make a decision about whether we want to continue our relationship with this organization. We have had it for years. As I said, we continued it for years ago, and in general, I think we're probably a good thing for us to continue it. But as a result of that contentious period with looking at that retreat and having it, we looked closer at that organization and found some history around the country where allegations were made about the organization that suggested that it had some ties that I want to look more closely at before I make a decision myself as to where they're at. So I just raised that tonight, those concerns tonight.
I will say the rationale for putting it on the agenda is because we are looking at the budget, so we don't want to approve a budget and then come back in July and say, hey, we need to add this to the budget that we already approved. This kind of gets us in a line item already. We're gonna have to renew CAPE eventually, so CAPE's gonna come before us too. So it's gonna be one or the other, and that's kind of already allocated from what I've talked to Dr. Avery on, it's in the budget already, so we have to just decide, you know, and the time to do it is before we approve a budget, so that we know it's in there. Not after we approve it and have to move money around from something else. That's my perspective on it, but I don't know, Dr. If you want to add to that or not.
Yeah, my perspective is that the budget is, whether we're gonna balance our budget with $9 million, and how we do that, not dealing with an item like this first. So I hear what you're saying, Madam Chair, but I'm done.
Dr. Avery?
No, I think, I mean, both sides of the issue is relevant, but I think like Madam Chair that you mentioned, really some of those costs are already in the budget, regardless of, and as you look and as we present the budget to you this evening for consideration for Monday approval, you're going to understand and see where we are with our finances, with these dollar amounts already included in that budget and moving it forward. So again, that's a decision that the board will have to make, and we will leave that open-ended for you guys to consider as you list. I think the next agenda item we'll be talking about the budget. So I think you'll be pleasantly and pleased regarding where those numbers lie as Nestor and I go through those numbers for you guys. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Seeing no other questions, is there a motion to bring this to the full board?
Motion to refer to the full board, the membership with Council of Great City School.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Ready, we're gonna move on to discussion of possible referral to the full board, the fiscal year 26-27 operating budget. Take it away, Dr. Avery. Mr. McClung.
Is Nestor on? Because
I'm on. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Nestor's going to present this evening for us.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Basically, what we're going to try to do tonight is kind of rehash the budget.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Can we make that bigger, please, Mr. Nkwo?
Let's see. Okay. Good enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Basically, what we're doing tonight is rehashing the amount of money, the additional funds we receive from the city, from the state for next fiscal year. So what I'm going to do here, you're going to see the very first number that says the total operating budget increasing by $10 million. That $10 million counts towards what you call the minimum budget requirement. As an alliance district, the $10 million the city of Bridgeport allocated or appropriated to the district for next year. It's a permanent increase, meaning they're obligated to keep maintaining that $10 million. Should I say to infinity? Pretty much to infinity, going forward every year. Every additional dollar the city of Bridgeport adds any year towards the school district, they have to maintain that. They cannot fund the district less than that amount, as long as it counts towards the minimum budget requirement, which is the district's operating budget. If they attempt to do that, the state will penalize them $2 for every $1 they allocate less to the district. So basically, in a nutshell, this $10 million is there, will continue to be there every year, being provided by the city of Bridgeport to the district through taxpayers' money, or through taxpayers' money. The next line item is which one that says FY27 state supplemental aid, one-time funding is very specific there, very clear. That's the $15 million this we received or get appropriated to the district, to Bridgeport School District during the state legislative budget session. Again, it's a one-time. It's not carved into the state budget next year. However, the district has to lobby hard for it to be part of the minimum budget requirement, the ECS, what they call education cost sharing, going forward. So if we don't lobby hard enough, or if the state decides to change their mind, we have to look for another $15 million in fiscal year 2028. FY27 state supplemental town aid, one-time funding. This is strictly one-time funding. It's now nowhere. They did not imply that it's going to reoccur in fiscal year 2028. So if you combine the 15 million and the 10.3 million outright in fiscal year 2028, we will need additional $25 million from the state. Then we're going to have to add normal cost of living increase for fiscal year 2028, which will run about $15 million, depending on how much the state increases the health insurance premium again. If they increase it drastic as they did this year, it's going to be more than $15 million for cost of living increase, which includes wages, light bill, gas bill, and every other and transportation increase. So basically what I'm trying to say here, $25 million that's not guaranteed for fiscal year 2028, plus cost of living increase for 2028, you're looking at $40 million that the district will have to look for fiscal year 2028, assuming all things being equal. What I mean by that, unforeseen circumstances. So that's pretty much what it is. So the budget that the board will be adopting on Monday, the total appropriation is $329,850,680. That's the total appropriation the board will be adopting. Any question on that, or before we keep going further? Now, when we prepared the budget, we started with a $61.6 million projected deficit. Out of that 61 million, we've gotten 35.3 million between those three revenue accounts. The rest of the balancing act was done by operational efficiency, attrition, and reducing some programs. And we will go through it as we go down on the gap closing measure. Anybody has a question as to the revenue appropriation or does not understand that we're starting fiscal year 2028 with $40 million monetary need, additional monetary need.
Mr. Cole, we're going to take questions at the end.
Okay.
You can do your presentation.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So we started with $61.6 million, and those are the categories or the line items that make up those variances or increases. $47.7 million is basically status quo budget. However, like I explained, the health insurance for grant employees and the wage increase for grant employees, because we know federal grants and state grants are flat funded next year. The health insurance increase for those grant employees and their wage increase, the only way to absorb them is to shift those liabilities to the operating budget. Those employees have to get their wage increases. They have to pay their health insurance. The district has to pay their health insurance increase for fiscal year beginning July 1. Then in addition, departmental additional requests. These are what we met with the principals and the department heads. These are the total amount, approximate total amount they're requested in order to run the district or the schools much more efficiently based on things they need. So that's approximately $8 million. If you add 47 plus 3.4 plus 2.4 plus $8 million, that's how you get the $61.6 million projected monetary need, additional monetary need for next fiscal year. We can scroll down and let's scroll down. No, scroll up, I'm sorry. Okay. We know we started with $61.6 million. Again, the budget that Dr. Avery and I proposed to the budget, initial budget we proposed, we realized with $61.6 million, there's no way we can provide, or the principals and the department had the additional things they needed. So we basically said, we cannot afford it for now. Let's basically go back to zero-based budgeting, which is status quo budgeting, per se. So we took away that $8 million additional request. We terminated Effective School Solution in the amount of $1.3 million, and projected operational savings, attrition, $1.5 million, reduced. Okay. Now, as when we started, the state told us that the initial health insurance was 20%, but they later came back and said, okay, we think we can bring it down to 14% from 20%. So the $3.6 million is a reduction from the 20%. So that's a saving from the initial projection. The same issue is applicable to grant employees. $1 million, $30,000 reduction from 20% to 14%. Then we decided to made a decision to decrease professional learning program, $500,000 savings. All those items, expenditure reductions, comes up to $15.9 million. Since we cannot mix revenues and expenditures, when you're doing the budget, you have to isolate them in tiers. You report revenues reduction separately, or revenue reduction or increase separately. You report revenues separately. So going back, they have the same financial effect, to be honest with you, but it depends how you report it. On the revenue side, we will be getting $600,000 from Nutrition Center for in-kind services or services we provide to Nutrition Center, which combination of HR, payroll, functions that the district employees provide to them is about $600,000. The district pays for Nutrition Center retirees out of the health insurance, so they reimburse us approximately $1 million. So those two combined will give you $1.6 million. Reducing the deficit. $1.6 million plus $15.9 million is $17.5 million gap closing measure. Take that 17.5 out, reduce it out of the 61 million, you come to $44 million. And that is the $44 million gap that Dr. Avery and I presented to the board the very first time. Okay, we said, okay, now we go to tier two solution of closing the gap. The city of Bridgeport gave us $10 million additional money. Take that 10 million out of the 44 million. In-district special ed excess cost reimbursement. In all fairness and due respect to the state technical team, the district historically never knew that we could build for in-district special education in-district reimbursement. They are the ones that brought it to our attention. Most districts in the state don't even know that. But because they're so versed and knowledgeable with the language of excess, special ed, they brought it to our attention and we filed. So we're going to get about $529,000 next year. It's going to be ongoing every year. So we've developed the format whereby we will be filing for excess cost, special ed in-district excess cost expenses to be reimbursed by the state. Then we talked about the additional special aid state monetary infusion of $15 million, plus the additional $10 million. So combination of those will give you $35.9 million reduction of application towards the 44 million. If you scroll down further, scroll up further. Now we're going the wrong way. Okay. Now right here, again, we talked about the revenues coming into the district to balance the budget in the amount of $35 million. Now we took some management actions, cost-saving measures, efficiency programs, review special education and regular ed bus route for efficiency. Then we have our 12th grade SPED students who are out of district who will be graduating. They will not become, once they graduate, the district will try to bring as many special ed students or retain many special ed students in-house and not place them out of district. We're estimating about $5.1 million savings to be achieved from that. Redesign agency substitute teachers, backfilling. When we say redesign it, currently we have, in all fairness, we do have high number of teacher absences. So what we're going to do is basically assign Kelly and Delta Para, certain number of Kelly and Delta Para to each school every day religiously. If there's more than those absences, the principal has to take initiative or take an action or take management action by consolidating classes, possibly letting the teachers who are chronically absent know. We have to take some action. So with that, we feel we can save about $1.1 million in Kelly and Delta substitute teachers every day at the end of the year. Then decrease professional learning program that will save $500,000. The state of Connecticut increased CMERS, which is regular employees pension employer pension contribution, from 20.78% to 21.93%. So that's additional cost to the district in the amount of $495,000. We're going to review all the SPED program contracts and try to streamline them as much as we can. That's additional $750,000. Now, let me clarify something here. This budget, basically what it means is that this next year budget contains approximately $7 million worth of assumptions. $5.1 million on item number 13, and $1.1 million on item number 14, and $750,000 on item number 17. That's approximately $7 million worth of assumptions, which the management or the district or the management has to make sure it happens to keep the budget in balance next year. Every budget, every year has assumptions, but those assumptions have to be made to materialize. So it's not unusual to have budget assumptions as long as they're feasible and they're made to materialize. So in addition, we later get better information or better news from the state that they're reducing the health insurance premium from the 14% they told us earlier. I guess a lot of districts complained and cried that they cannot afford that drastic increase in health insurance in 1 year. So they brought down the rate from 14% to 12.5%. That's where we're going to end up effective July 1. The health insurance increase from this year to next year that the district will be paying will increase by 12.5%. Cumulatively, between Board of Education and the city, the cost or dollar cost of that 12.5% increase is $9.7 million. Granted, they reduced it to 12.5%. The actual cost increase is $9.7 million. So people are going to say, why are you having some financial problems? When they increase one line item, or when your one line item increases by 9.7, almost $10 million just on health insurance alone. We haven't talked about wages. So these are the issues or the factors where the monies are going, so people will know. So those expenditure reductions is $8.1 million. When you add the $35 million that the state and the city had given us to the $8.1 million, that's a total reduction of $44 million gap closing measure, which is the number that Dr. Avery had presented to you. Now, let me be honest with everyone. The initial item number 13 was $5.4 million projected savings. But if I leave $5.4 million projected savings, you're going to end up with a surplus. So the best thing I did was reduce that savings in order for the budget to balance. And finally, originally, so people wouldn't get confused. If you recall, people are saying we have all this deficit of $8 or $9 million. The reason why is because of the $8 million. Look at the last footnote. We were trying to add back $8 million that the principals and the department had asked for, but we realized we cannot afford it. So I took it out. Taking it out makes the budget balanced. Basically what it means, the principals and the department heads, additional things they requested beyond current year, we cannot afford it. That's basically what it means. Then there are major items that will be reinstated in fiscal year 26-27 budget, proposed budget, which the board will adopt. I figured I'd bring this to the board's attention. The next year proposed budget will retain or maintain the 2-to-1 kindergarten paras. In other words, the teachers, the schools will have 2-to-1 kindergarten paras next year. It's built into the budget. And there will not be any extended walking distance next year, meaning the same bus routes that we have now is what's going to be maintained. The cost is factored into next year's proposed budget. I know it's a lot of data, a lot of information, but I'm open for questions. So currently the budget is balanced. And I indicated how I balanced it. It would have had a $200 and something thousand surplus, but I had to reduce the assumption in order to balance it. In order to keep it in balance, you can't have $200,000, almost $300,000 surplus at the end of the year. Plus, it's an assumption, so we have to work on it. Questions? Any questions or?
Mr. Jimenez?
I have a few questions.
Mhm.
I know we were looking at bus routes and efficiencies in the system. Where in these measures is that? Or have we?
Item number 13.
Okay, the
It's a
5.1.
It's a combination of different initiatives that comes up to that $5.1 million. So we're pretty confident. I mean, Dr. Avery can speak to that. We're pretty confident that Dr. Avery, you could address that, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, Mr. Jimenez said we are still working through analyzing some of those bus routes and things. We have another meeting on Friday to try to figure out if there's any additions. So once the budget is balanced, any additional savings will go into a savings account or come back to the board if the board wants to spend that savings account. And so efficiency, a lot of that we've been in ongoing conversation with We Transportation and working with PJ's group. And PJ may be online. He may be able to add to, the timeline. And that's one of the things that the state is working with us on as well. Ed Iram and his team is working on making sure that that we look at those analysis and make sure that we add to those routes and things. It takes a little bit of time to go through and look at who's going, which bus is going by the same street and all those types of things as well. So, but we did add, a few, at least $1.2 million to that $5 million regarding, the savings of that. But again, that is an ongoing opportunity, and we have a little bit more work to do around that. So you'll hopefully we'll see another $1 million or so that will be added to a surplus moving forward as well. And PJ, if PJ online, he can kind of add value to that. If he's not, that's basically what we talked about. PJ,
no, I'm here. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, we're working with the technical assistance team. We have been optimizing routes and looking at all kinds of route optimization. Within that, we have found some savings. We're looking at in-district, out-of-district special education, as well as our regular bus routes that actually are happening day to day. Within that, I know the technical assistance team has also looked at the WE contract, and they're looking to work with them to work on some deals with optimizing their contract also by possibly paying a little bit sooner to get discounts from that. And I know that while we were looking at that, we were also looking at other things in the contract that we were looking to start endorsing within next year, which is some penalties on late buses, some different fees that we're going to be able to get from there. So there's a whole bunch of transportation options that we've taken, and we don't have a solid number yet because we're still looking at it and still coming up with cost savings, but hope to have it, within the next month.
PJ and Nestor, do we happen to know when the WE transportation contract is up? Because that will be another way that we're going to be able to save some dollars as well, because we pay them millions of dollars to transport our kids, guys. And so we have to do a better job of negotiating that contract to the things we want and the optimizations that we want in order to curb that cost. So do you guys know when that contract is up?
I think it's up 2020. I think it ends this year, 2027.
Okay, so again, that's we need to tie that into our whole process as well.
Okay, thank you. And kind of along the same lines of buses, I know, and I keep bringing this up, the fines, the cameras that are on the buses, can we tap into any of that money? And I know historically we've said no, but has there been any movement on that component?
If I may, Madam Chair, again, I spoke to Danny Roach, the city. I said, Danny, when the city was pushing this contract through, you promised the district that we will get a piece of the pie, if you want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the contract got signed, the city is getting the money. I called Dan. I've spoken to him twice this month. I said, Dan, the board is not happy. Okay, with all due respect, it seems like you guys played a fast one. I used that word to him. He goes, well, it's supposed to be for public safety. I said, okay, if it's for public safety, the Board of Education has more than enough public safety. Give us our own share. We will use it to buy cameras in the schools. That's public safety. He goes, oh, that's a good idea. I said, yes, we have public safety needs. So don't tell me it's for public safety, because we have public safety needs. Buying cameras, equipping these schools is public safety, so we're entitled to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, yep.
And we're gonna pursue that.
We have to put up the fight, to be honest.
We're gonna pursue that.
Excellent, thank you. Let me just go, a quick question on excess cost that we were not getting before the 529K. So right now, that's estimating what we can potentially get now, but can it be expected that that amount would increase over time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I guess this question is up there. It do we know with certainty if the state will increase our health insurance? It seems that that's a major driver in a lot of our deficits, and obviously we have to pay our health insurance. But
Go ahead.
yeah, do we know that that'll happen again next year?
Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. The last 3 years, they've been increasing the rates. It runs about 5%, 7%. This time they went way up there. As well as the CMERS, which is the employer pension contribution. I had mentioned to the board in 2014, the rate was like almost 8, 9, 12%. Now it's 20%. You're looking at $6 million increase, permanent increase every year, permanent. They increased it last year again. They increased it. Now they started inching it up a little bit. But each move, you've seen the effect from 20.78% to 21.93%. It's $500,000. So if they tweak it or increase it a little more next year, yes. The money keeps going away one way or the other. Health insurance, pension contribution. We have to pay these employees wages. And the sad thing is, when they increase these rates, whatever wage increase you give employees, you have to contribute that increased percentage. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Nestor. My last, it's not a question, it's a comment. We don't have any money, but I just want to like have it on the record. I'm actually quite disappointed about getting rid of the $8 million the principals had requested. I know if we had the money, we would have given it to them. Obviously, it's very clear we do not. But I would like to propose, obviously, with the board's approval, if we do get additional money, try to trickle it down to the actual schools and the needs of the principals, because it's a mind shift that would happen at each of the campuses, for the better. So I'm disappointed in it, not surprised, because we knew we had a $44 million deficit and we only got $35 million. So just kind of wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Ms. Brooks Jennings, do you have any questions? I'll hold my questions. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, can we go back to page 1, please? I want to do this in
Sure.
order.
What page?
Page
1, the very first page. Yep, right here.
Yes, it'll probably be pretty brief. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I just want to hit the revenue portion and just get a brief breakdown, just make sure my understanding is correct. The one-time ECS formula was based on the allocation of $172 million being awarded outside the ECS funding, but allocated in the same manner as if it was in the formula, which gives us $15 million. However, it's non-recurring revenue.
Right.
And then the number, because there's actually some superintendents going around and some really big respectable finance people that are under the assumption that the foundation amount was increased, which it was not. So that needs to be made abundantly clear to anybody doing any kind of advocacy. The foundation amount is still $11,525, and it has not increased. That brings me to the next portion, which is next year's budget. As you raised, that money is not guaranteed. However, there is another $162 million in the, I'm not sure if that's the right number, appropriated for supplemental funding. However, there's no distribution method or anything written into the bill, so that money is in flux. And I would like to also point this out, that number 13,087, what I mentioned before, is important because That's what the foundation amount needs to increase by in order for us to receive one single additional dollar. Because if it doesn't increase that fund, we are potentially flat funded under that money. That's set for next year. One additional danger I don't think you mentioned, Mr. Unquo, is there's a possible if we have a shrinkage in our school population,
Okay,
since that money is outside the
Yep,
formula,
yep,
it is
yep.
not subject to the hold harmless. So if we
Yep.
lose 500 students, we
Yep.
lose 500 times
Yep, yep, yep.
whatever the foundation and whatever
Yep.
our allocation is for that. So
Yep, yep.
there's a potential for even a reduction over this year's award for that portion.
Mhm, mhm.
And as you said, the 10 million is not there again next year, so. All right, so can we flip pages? Where are we now? Just the next page, let me just look at that. The gap measures, fund school requests of financial needs, health insurance numbers. Okay. The MBR, okay, yeah, let's look at that. And the only thing locked in as a guaranteed increase is that $10 million that the city gave outside of the supplemental town aid. That's not going to be recurring. So,
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah.
okay, so now next page, please. Okay, now I just want to talk a little bit about I just want to make sure I got an understanding of this. Our last number was $9 million assumption, and you said we currently have approximately $7 million in assumptions, which I was
That's
counting the assumptions as potential gaps because it's not in my head. It's not real. It's still not totally real. However, we're going to capture some of those savings, obviously. 18 and 19 are relatively new, correct?
No, they were there. They're not relatively. They were there in the last presentation I made to the board when I notified you that the state reduced it further from 14 to 12.5%.
So this is the 8 million. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, could you try? I'm sorry, I'm a little stuck on the going from 9 to 0. Well, the 9 was the assumptions of the 7. I'm trying. Okay, I'm thinking of where is the 2. All right, yeah, never mind that. Yeah, so basically we have a balanced budget, a precariously balanced budget with no wiggle room, absolutely no wiggle room whatsoever.
No contingency. Through
Right.
what I'm saying. No contingency at all.
Right, and should any of these numbers come in under expectations, we will end up with a potential gap sometime during the school year, which we'll be monitoring closely, correct?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Now that brings me to a cushion. There's still $5 million out there that was awarded in last session in the bonding bill. Do we have any updates on that? Because that $5 million could be a cushion against all that. And while I like Ms. Jimenez's suggestion to bring back some of the services, but I would prefer librarians first. However, seeing as we have no cushion, I think we need to protect ourselves from going into deficit during the year first, should we see any extra money. Because I'd hate to cut off on. While I am celebrating that we are probably not going to have to make any more cuts this year, I am mourning the loss of every single job, especially the librarians, that we cannot bring back. I mean, I would suggest reversing any cuts should we see any windfalls first before bringing the wish list. Those things really, really hurt to take away from our children. And finally, the excess cost reimbursements and all that. What we got to remember is excess costs are given to us because we're spending entirely excessive amounts of money.
Yep.
And excess cost reimbursement is only a portion of what we're spending. So if that cost raises if we get more next year, that means we spent more.
Well,
and being as it's a percentage of the whole, it's going to damage our budget more than it helps.
Mhm.
when that number
Absolutely,
increases.
absolutely.
So
Yep.
it's important that we recognize that. And
Yep.
finally, the bus assumptions. Dr. Avery asked a good question about the expiration of the bus contract. However, he asked it with a positivity in mind. I would like to look at it from the other way. They're currently in negotiations for employee salaries. No vendor will come to us and negotiate a contract at a loss. So we got to take into account that there may be cost pressures and we may have to revise our assumptions for a more costly contract as well. So those are just things I think we should really keep in mind as potential triggers. And I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Medina. Mr. Sagami, you drop your hand for me? That'll be helpful.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to open up by recommending, Madam Chair, because of the discussion and everything that we so far discussed, two high things came up with that transportation. I know we've talked in the last month or so highly about IT and what's going on and how can we save. So I would love to recommend and put on the table into everyone's ear to maybe have a committee or again a committee or to open up about transportation and IT specifically. We have an opportunity right now to make sure that we do the best moving forward to have those dialogues, to figure out those contracts, to figure out those things. You guys all know I've spent 26 years in the bus industry, school busing over 12 years and city busing. So again, those discussions could be made and should be made, and I think we should consider that. Second, to Ms. Jimenez and also Joe's comment about the 5 million that is out there looming. And my thoughts were, hey, let's try to give the teachers what they need, but also we know, and I'll put it out there to us, we know that we have nothing in the ISS. We have no money, no contingency, no emergency money whatsoever. You guys know for a fact that any given day we can get 20 or 30 or even 5 special ed students that'll be driving costs up the roof. We need to plan ahead. The students and the families are asking us to take a look at that. Dr. Avery is keeping a look at that. Nuquo, thank you very much. Everything that you presented today seems to be giving us a really nice overview on where we are. How can we make this happen? Like Joe said, kudos. We're almost not, have that moment that we have to cut any services, but at the same time, we can't add anything. The librarians hold a huge part that they can do so much with IT, with AI, and with curriculum also, and things like that. That is an essential that we can get a big bang for our dollars, bringing them back faster, sooner than later. But definitely the teachers and the principal, campus leaders recommendation, we have to take a look at it. So we should continue to fight for that 5 million, because that'll help us at least maybe invest half or more, 2/3 maybe, into what we need to do. But I'll reserve the rest of my questions for later. The bus situation, we're still waiting for those contracts that happened last year that we haven't heard anything about. To make sure we can look at that and see how it was done. That way we can learn from that and work. So I, put that out there specifically. I'll send it through committee if you need to, Madam Chair, or if not, you can write that down as a referral, because we need to have these discussions, and it will help us. It will benefit and will draw, great things. So thank you.
Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to be brief. I know, Nestor, you gave all this information to us and to our community, and everybody's listening to us. I know I don't want people in staff and community and parents and students get stressed and depressed because we're going to do or trying that. I don't want they think that we're going to give layoff. I don't want they think like we're going to be crazy because we don't have no money. I know we can do this. And I know Nestor and everybody here and everybody listening to us, they understand this year, like we fight for our students, we fight for our parents and staff. And I know next year, whatever we need the money, I know the state and the city that will give it to us because they know what we want, what we need, and what we need, especially for our staff that can give education to our students. I know the governor and the city and all the towns, they see what we did because it's not I, it's we. I just want to be clear that because people they think, oh, I did, and it's not I did, it's we did. And I know I want this message, and for the record, that everybody listen to us, it's gonna be okay because we gonna be working together again to be sure our kids have a good education and our staff be okay. I don't want to lay you off or nothing like that because for now on, for the record, and you know I always do it. I was always say no to lay off to nobody. I know sometimes we have to because we don't have no choice, but my big NO is going to be always. But I know this year or next year, next one, and you know that because you're a professional in this. I know you give us the information, and I know, as I said, we going to do this next year, and we going to have the fun for our students. Thank you, Madam Chair, and everyone.
Madam Chair, if I may
Go ahead,
clarify,
Mr. Nicole.
again, to the board, I think I've been very transparent. I think I call a spade a spade. I call it what it is. No one is going to say, oops. No one has been giving any surprise at all. That is the way I communicate, or I'm not politically correct most of the time, but I relate the facts. That's just the best best way I can put it. I'm not scaring the community or parents or whoever is listening, but it's quite obvious, definitely obvious. We have a $40 million monetary need come 2028. We have to work hard, we have to lobby hard, do whatever we have to do during the next legislative session in order to prevail. It was not intended to traumatize or scare anyone, but again, it's good for people to be aware and not say, I thought the budget was balanced last year. Yes, it's balanced, but it's nothing permanent about it. That's all I'm trying to express tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Traver?
Yeah, I don't think you've overdone it, Mr. Nicole. I think that, you know, we have a legitimate concern about whether we can achieve this budget. It's been expressed by some board members. We have a concern about whether it'll be good enough. We have a need to keep trying to get the 5 million that's been raised. And we even have another option, which we haven't touched. We still need to sit down with Deputy Commissioner Hughes or whomever they designate to talk about MARB and whether or not that's an avenue that's worthy of pursuit. Where there might be 10 or 20 million, which would get us librarians, get us the principals list, but we don't know whether that's an option we even want to pursue because we don't know the strings that are attached to it. So we have other options. In the meanwhile, y'all have presented to us a balanced budget. So nobody's going to be losing their jobs. And that's worth noting and being public about. And that's means nobody's losing their job in the short term. And that's, you know, that's good. And next year we have a heck of a fight ahead of us. So, you know what we got to do, and we got to start getting to work. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Dr. Avery?
Oh, I'm good. I just want to, really, our jobs, guys, is as a board and as administrative staff is to work together like we've done. And we've been very transparent to the community about where we are financially and all those things. And so I applaud everybody on this call because we fought a fight and we got a balanced budget. And we still have a lot of fight to do. And remember, members of the board, there is a possibility for a mob, the municipal something board that we can go at MARB and get money from. So that's a possibility as well to add to the things we need and work from. And our job, my job as administration of the district is to find out how to get access to those dollars. And right now there's no there has been nothing coming from the state, regarding how to access those dollars. Because I think they're still trying to formulate the policies around how to engage into getting those dollars. And so I got my boots on the ground ready for that to happen. And we're gonna fight to get some of those things, because there are some immediate needs that we need, but we have no resources to do it. And we're fighting for our kids, and that's what we're gonna fight for collectively together. And whoever else want to join that fight, come on, city, state, everybody's gonna get it done together. So again, we're not done yet, Bridgeport. So here we go. Thank you, Madam Chair.
With you, we're gonna make that difference, not favorite.
Yeah. Any other questions? Go ahead, Maritza.
Motion to refer to the full board, the fiscal year 2026, 2027 operating budget.
I'll second that. Any further debate? All in favor, say aye.
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 Right, thank you. So we'll see that on Monday. Thank you, Ms. Nicole and you, I know it's a small team in that finance office with you, Miss St. Louis and yourself, but I appreciate you both for the work you're doing, and then, all the other board, cabinet members who are, contributing this. So, like other people have said, it wasn't an easy year, but thank you for presenting us a balanced budget. And anything else we get, hopefully, we can use it for restoration purposes, or whatever the board chooses. So,
Madam Chair, may I add to your comment, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Ms. Nicole, we could have never done it without this gentleman right here, guys. And so we're very fortunate to have him in our presence and working with us to try to fight for the monies for our kids. I want to personally thank him too, and his team. They're few, but they're powerful, and they do a lot of work, and they pull their hair out. And this doesn't have any hair to pull out, but he's fighting for us, and we do it with joy and with pride. And the whole executive leadership team is a few of us guys, and we work hard. And so I can't say enough about, and they smile every day. At the end of the day, we're all fighting with each other and grabbing at each other. But the next day, we're all happy and ready to go. So it is what it is, and that's why we work so well together. So thank you guys for what you guys do. So I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
And so the next item on the agenda, this is our final item. This is a discussion and possible referrals to the full board, the SEED, special education purchases for fiscal year 26 year-end closing for new SPED classroom furniture and SPED curriculums. This is coming before us today because we do have to spend this money by the end of the year. So I know Ms. Hughes and Dr. Avery, and I think Dr. Whitley's on. We're going to talk about this. So we'll listen to you guys, and hopefully we can move it forward.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll take the lead on this. I want to make sure I emphasize to the board that yes, this item came as a last minute item. The money has to be spent by June 9th. The district has submitted the SEED grant application to the state. The state kicked it back to us last week, saying that we could not use those funds the way that we presented it the first time. So, and I don't want to leave any money on the table because this is the money. This SEED money is for the special ed children in our district. And yes, it's a last minute thing, and we put the quotes in the portal for you guys to consider. But I think it's a great spend. I want to make sure that we can spend it, but I did not want to sign a PO for over $25,000 without getting your approval. So that's why this is on the agenda for the full board. And if we can get it, pushed to the full board for Monday for approval, that's really what I would like to do, because I don't want to, again, leave any money on the table. We are adding special ed classrooms as part of the SEED grant opportunity. But these teachers are going to need a space. The kids are going to need classroom. We're trying to reduce class sizes and all that. So that's why it's on. And so otherwise we would have had time to get it to you and get it to a committee as well. But we will appreciate if you guys will consider it. If you don't pass it, that money is going back to the state and our kids won't benefit from it. So that's why it's here. So I'll turn it back over to you, to Madam Chair, if you have any questions.
Ms. Esteban Jimenez?
I just have one question, and it's around the quotes. I saw them. I obviously I'm good with spending money like this. I certainly don't want to leave any money on the table. It's a awful narrative for a district that's strapped and has deficits, and then we're sending money back. It's not a good optic. But do we know for sure that the seed grant will cover and pay for these items?
Yes,
Dr. Whitley?
Dr.
Yeah.
Whitley? Dr. Whitley?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that if we approve anything, we weren't on the hook for it if the same thing that happened last week, they would, deny it for whatever reason. Okay.
Correct me, Madam
The
Chair.
only, the only reason they denied it because it was part of the seed grant is for new staff, not existing staff. So we pushed staff into the seed grant to pay for staff, but when you look at the timeline of when those staff members were hired, they had to be hired prior to July, whatever. But some of these teachers came on afterwards, so you could not use it for that. But we submitted it that way, and they pushed it back at us, and that's why it came back at a late notice for you guys.
If I may,
Go
Madam
ahead,
Chair.
Mr. Newcomb, go ahead.
If I may, Madam Chair, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong. We already did a budget amendment with the state of Connecticut for these items, reclassifying them to purchase all these things, and they approved it this last week.
This is
Hannah?
correct. The revision was approved on Monday.
The
Yes.
revision was approved by the state, so we are not going on a limb, not knowing. It's already been approved by the revision to purchase these things have been approved by the state already as of last week. So
But the board hadn't approved it yet. That's why
I know, but I'm just giving Mr. Menace the comfort that it's already been, the revised budget has been approved by the state. So we're not guessing.
Gotcha. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm all set.
First hand I see is Mr. Sokolovic.
Yeah, Dr. Avery actually asked one of my most pressing questions, what was kicked back. As far as I'm okay, I'm pretty much okay with the furniture, but I got a question and concern about the curriculum since it's last minute. Has any staff reviewed the curriculum to see, are we familiar with this firm, what have you?
Michelle, Ms. McKinley, Marge.
Hello, yes. Which curriculum are you referring to? The ULS or the Wonders in HMH?
There's one called Teach Town. That's the one I'm on with currently.
Teach Town was the second quote. Last week at the ISS meeting, we presented the ULS, which is the curriculum for our LEAP and some of our SOAR students. We had submitted that with our committee meeting, and we wanted to make sure that you could see other quotes. The Teach Town was significantly higher, which is one of the reasons why we selected the ULS curriculum. The Wonders in the HHM is our current curriculum that we already use, except we're not using it in our SOAR classrooms. And right now we're working with our special education teachers in adding intervention strategies to make it accessible to our special ed students.
Okay, all I'm saying in the portal is actually that one. Okay, that explains that, and the ULS. I'm not seeing what else.
The ULS we presented to ISS last week, Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
However, we only presented 1 year. What we're proposing in this grant is 3 years. So we went this 67,000 for 1 year, and I believe the 3 year was approximately 210,000.
Okay, and encompassing both the 3 years of ULS, right? And the furniture will spend us down to zero, correct?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Medina?
Right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you. So more than a comment than a question, because Dr. Avery, when he spoke, it gave every confidence of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and that's what we think. We don't mind. I want to make sure that we make it clear, and I make it clear for myself. We don't mind when things come up last minute, when it's this urgent, the way it was said, the way it been presented, and the reason why. This is why we have these meetings. So I thank you, Nuku, also for presenting to us that they already have. So that was a great point to the comfort of Ms. Jimenez and myself, because again, they already approved this. So this is something that we can almost, when we pass it, it's going to be a benefit, and we're going to see we got to spend that money. She said it very clearly, and I agree. It sets a bad precedent when we got money to spend and we don't spend it. So great job, you guys finding it. I'm glad that they caught it or said no on time. That way we can make a pivot. So this is what it's about. So when we have to pivot, we're definitely going to respond. And I know everybody else would respond and say, this is what we're talking about. We need to do this. So I appreciate everybody.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to refer to the full board, the seed special education purchases for fiscal year 26 year-end closing.
You add the last two items, A and B.
Oh, new sped classroom furniture and sped curriculums.
I'll second that. Any further debate? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. And the last but not least is the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, second that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thanks, everyone. Have
We're
a good
adjourning
evening.
at nine
you.
Take care,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
9:35.
Thank you.
Good night.